build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Garrison Financial Friday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports, right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Scotty G not in the house, so we're going to have to fill his time. I bet you we could find something to talk about to fill his time. What do you think, Jared?
Sure. All that tells me is he's busy.
That's right, and that is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that Scotty G is busy. So, coming up, the last segment, I've got some Thunder. Thunder handled the Clippers last night. Back at it tonight against the Wizards of Washington, 38-17 for the Thunder. And like we talked about yesterday, man, if they could win last night, which they did on their home floor, there's some softer games here in the next handful of days with the Wizards, who are at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, a couple with Houston, and then who was the other one? I can't remember, but it was another team that's not the greatest.
Well, at San Antonio.
San Antonio, well, they're not any good
They're
either.
not
So,
any good.
yeah, there you go. Over these next, so Thunder can jump out 5-1, 4-1 out of the All-Star break, and then that can put them right near the top, if not at the top of the Western Conference standings with only about 20 games left. So, talk about the Thunder last night. I got to listen to a bunch of it. Didn't see any of it, but I got to listen coming home. And also, in honor of my man Dylan Satilli, I'm going to point something out. It's a trade deadline move the Thunder made that has benefited another team. I don't know if anybody has any idea what's been going on with one of the guys that got shipped away. So we'll talk about that. Obviously, high school hoops. We'll run down what happened yesterday. What's the schedule look like today? Who's got the best? What's the best area final in each classification and gender in your mind? Where are we at there? And then just some high school wrestling we can get into as well with some results yesterday for the brown and white. But most of it's just, it's high school basketball. We're right here. Today is the day in A and B, the coolest day there is, with state tournament berths on the line tonight in area finals. So 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That is 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things. Whatever else might be on your mind, feel free to chime right in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, a couple ways to stay in touch with the show. Log on to kadsam.com or download the app. The app's got it all. It's got radio. It's got the penny news. And, of course, it's got Big Elk and Paragon TV, which you can watch high school hoops playoff action all day long, today, tonight, and hopefully into tomorrow as well. So lots of stuff going on through the app on Paragon TV and Big Elk TV, the high school basketball playoffs. And, of course, Skinny on Sports podcast. You can catch that. kadsam.com has them all. Anywhere else where podcasts drop. How are you today, Jared?
I'm good. How are you doing?
How was the trip to Chickasha?
It's good.
Did you get anything to eat?
Man, I was so rushed to get there, but here's the deal. It's taken this long. I didn't know Chickasha, home of the Fighting Chicks, finally has Chick-fil-A. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, hospitality room was full of Chick-fil-A.
Oh, that is awesome.
But I didn't get some till after my broadcast. I was in a rush to get there. I had some equipment issues. I didn't have time to sit. Once I sat down, I clicked stream, and I was going. And if you caught my pregame, it was the shortest pregame, and I don't know how I got my 2 breaks in, but I did. So
professional, Jared. That's how you did it.
We'll see. But it was. And as always, the hospitality is awesome at Chickasha. So awesome that I don't know if I should be saying this, if anyone will get mad, but he locked up my equipment. He let me leave my equipment there, so I didn't have to break it all down entirely. And I said, hey, I'm back here, first game tomorrow. Do you mind it? And he said, no, I'll lock it up for you. So it's nice. So I won't feel so rushed today. because knowing that my stuff's already there, I don't have to lug it all in. But on the court anyways, good and bad day for the Canute Trojanettes and the Trojanettes, of course, started things off. Area Constellation first round against Cheyenne, a up-and-coming Cheyenne team, so you knew you're going to get a pretty good test from them because they had some pretty good wins in these playoffs over Canton, over Navajo. Of course, they fell to Surreal. It's not a bad thing. That's a really good team to lose to. And so Canute was going to have to bring their A game and in yet another rematch against a team they're familiar with. It seems like that's a theme we're seeing in these playoffs. And they got the win 35-26, but it was tight throughout, 5-3 after the first quarter. Canute only able to muster one make shot in the first quarter, and Cheyenne only two. So and I was talking to a Cheyenne fan because they were sitting behind me, and at halftime it was 13-7. And I said, "Do you expect this?" And he said, "No." And we both agreed. I think they're both just really tight, really nervous. You didn't want to be that person to make a mistake, and maybe didn't want to make that shot early or make a mistake early. But once they settled down, you started to see that basketball we're used to from both teams. Destiny Jackson started to open it up in the third quarter. She would finish with 15 points. Kendall Schuster is just turning it into a double-double machine. She finished with 12 and 13, or is it 13 and 12? One or the other. She was my Rob's Ranch player of the game because once she made some plays that I don't even know she can make those plays at the beginning of the year where she would receive it, had good court awareness, knew where she was, would make a move, a good post-presence move, One time, it looked like a little baby right hook shot, and twice she got to the line with the and one opportunity. That she was hard to stop yesterday. And that's so exciting because she's just a sophomore. And Cheyenne, though, I can't say enough. I know we talk about, it's kind of been the theme this year about youth and the beginning of something really good. And that's happening over there at Cheyenne with Coach Carlson and that team. We had her on earlier in the week. She talked about it. Those 4 freshmen she starts are going to be a staple, a part of that team for the next 3 seasons. They lose a couple seniors, but they get a lot of contributions. They did yesterday. Ella Powers, the sophomore, came in. Brayley Wright, a junior. So there's a lot of production that come back. A couple of those, Kinley Carlson, Kimberlyn Denny, and Emma Bogus, those are 3 freshmen I just mentioned who are going to be really, really good. Really good. So that's a good win or a good season for Cheyenne to lay a base. They're going to be a power to be contended with the next couple of years. So now Canute gets another rematch against Waukomis. It's the rubber match. They won the first time they met up in Moreland. Of course, they lost in overtime in the first round of regionals, and now they have a chance to avenge that and try to get to the area constellation final tomorrow. The boys, they came, they went up against a team that was taller and longer and maybe a little bit more older, which they played a lot of teams that are older than them. They gave a fight, though, in the third quarter. They played Southwest Covenant. They were down 29-16 at half, and I've mentioned those third quarters. They've done that before where they were down big to some good teams like Duke and Fort Cobb and put together a really good third quarter, and they did just that, outscored Southwest Covenant 21-18. Thanks in large part to Jackson Beck's 3 Cook 3-pointers in the third quarter. He had 5 in the game, 21 points, led the Trojans yesterday. But Southwest Covenant was kind of like, they just kept them kept them at arm's length. Canute would get within 10, within 8, and then Southwest Covenant would go hit a 3. Well, Canute would get the 3 back, and they just couldn't make the stops when they needed to make the stops, and they would lose at 62-46. Congratulations to Canute. Vastly improved from last year. They got over 20 wins, which is kind of like a staple for me. I'm like, if you can get over 20 wins in a season, that's pretty good. 22-8. They've taken that next step when you compare it to last year. Everybody, there's not one senior in this team, so everybody comes back. They'll get some help from the freshman class next year, now 8th graders. I was talking to one of the coaches yesterday. They're anxious to get some of those guys on the court and see what they can contribute to, as far as depth is concerned. And, then just take that next step. Instead of bowing out on a Thursday in area, get to Friday. Get to, hopefully not Saturday. Just get to Friday, then move on. So taking that next step is the process, and you're going to hear that word a lot, process, and this is a process. I think they're going to be all right, and if everyone can stay committed, do some work in the offseason, Canute's going to be fine. And I have to keep telling myself, we talked about Coach Steffes with this, that there are a bunch of sophomores out there, a bunch of 15, 16, maybe 17-year-old kids playing basketball. They're going to make mistakes. We all did at that age. So I'm anxious to see that next level of maturity for these guys, elevate their game a little bit more. It's going to be a really fun team too. So their season's done, but again, a great season. You get over 20 wins. That's pretty good. And a lot of teams want to be playing on this weekend and just simply aren't. So Jackson Beck, great season for him. I mean, he averaged about 18 points per game. Again, 21 yesterday. It's been fun to see his trajectory keep moving up and up and up. That's exciting for me to see what he can do next year. And then you got guys like Luke Spitz. He's really developing down low. He's averaging just under a double-double per game. If he can get a little better going into his junior season, Jake Butler, he's a great shooter when he gets on that rhythm. And that's a big part of why I think they lost yesterday. All 5 of his points came from the free throw line. He cannot find that rhythm. Mm-hmm. And when he does, you see it against Rock Creek last week. I've seen it against other good teams this season. He just finds that shooting rhythm, but he just couldn't find it yesterday. And I think you hold him at bay, you got a good chance to beat Canute, and that's what happened too. So they're a good team. They'll be all right. And now today, like I said, big matchup with Waukomis. I was following that game. Waukomis took on Sentinel.
It was close. Going into the third quarter is tied, or fourth quarter is tied or something.
I was just able to follow it on score.
Yeah.
They had no stream or anything. I did get some insight from a coach's husband that Sentinel's Riley Pruitt twisted up her ankle in the third quarter, so she had to come out for a spell. Well, that gave Waukomis an opportunity to go on a little run. She was able to come back, but then she fouled out. Yeah. And then that's, so the score, it was a 10-point win for Waukomis, but I'm hearing more like it should have been more like it was close. Realistically, it was a closer game than that. And she's a great player. I hate to see it or hear that's how she is a senior, right? Yeah, how her career wraps up like that. But good job, Coach Carter over there. Kennedy, her first year, getting them all the way to the area tournament. You talk about progression. I'm sure there's a process there too, and they're not going anywhere either. But so Waukomis, that first matchup, that second matchup, they shot the ball really well, but then Canute was able to settle down and force overtime. So that's, they got to keep Waukomis from shooting that hot, run them off the 3-point line, make them work inside against Kendall. If Kendall can continue to play like she's been playing, that's going to be another fun matchup. So the rubber match today at 1 o'clock on Paragon TV. How'd your games go?
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to the rest of the slate on Paragon TV. Class B girls, man, what a crusher for the Lady Bison. Led by 12 going into the fourth quarter against Arnett. That was the fourth time those two teams had played. But Arnett stormed back. Lady tied it with the late three at 44, and then Arnett wins 46-44. So the Lady Bison bow out in Class B girls action yesterday. So a really tough one there to end the season. You mentioned Canute. And then here on the text line, our man Monty Tucker, the Eric Bearcats, unranked Eric Bearcats going into the playoffs, right? I know they. Yeah, I don't think they ever. Ranked, no. They didn't get there. So the Bearcats beat Battiest 48-35. So Eric moves on as the Canute Trojanettes moved on. So did the Eric Bearcats move on into the semifinals in the area consolation bracket. They will play Fort Cobb Broxton. Fort Cobb might have had a little RA coming off that loss on Saturday.
RA.
Yeah, I'm not saying it. You can figure it out yourself. Red.
Oh, okay.
As they just hammered Moyers like 89-31. So that's Eric's opponent in the semifinals of the area consolation bracket. It's Fort Cobb Broxton, 2:30, ParagonTV.com. Then I've already had this on the text line as well. Biggest upset in the state in any class? Did that occur out at Merritt last night? With the Oilerettes knocking off number 3 Hooker?
Might be safe to say.
What a great win by Coach Husband and the Oilerettes. Or the Oilers,
yeah.
41-35. as they knock off the Hooker Bulldogs. The Oilerettes handled the Lady Bulldogs as one would have expected going into that game. Merritt wins that one 50-27. So both Merritt squads into the regional finals tomorrow night up at Fairview. They both are going to play Cashin. I think I looked through there, and Cashin won both of those when I was looking last night. So 6 and 7:30 for both Merritt teams as they are successful in the 2A regional tournament yesterday out at Merritt. A great win. And I saw some photos there. It was legit. The gym was rocking. And I've seen Caden Dunlap get hot from deep myself in some years that he played for the Big Elks. And I saw photos from the gym. Looked like it was packed out at Merritt. So a great performance for Coach Husband and the Oilers to pull off the shocker over the Hooker Bulldogs. I think Hooker beat them 50-25 out in the Merritt Classic in the semifinals just about a month ago. So a big-time turnaround.
Yeah, Hooker's probably sick of going to Merritt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both Merritt teams into the regional finals. All right, the Elk City's day yesterday was awful. There's no other way to describe it. Up in Bethany at the 4A regional tournament, it started out with the Big Elks in the regional consolation round, losing to Clinton 43-37. Their season ends at the hands of the Clinton Red Tornadoes in the first round of the regional tournament. It was one of those. It was immensely frustrating to watch. I'm sure it was immensely frustrating to be on the sidelines. It's crazy how those 4 games went between those two teams. Clinton wins by 4 in Elk City in December, kind of bookends the 4-game series this year. Wins by 6 yesterday to end the Elk season, and in the middle, the Elks won by 30 and 20. And you just you're trying to figure out how is that possible. The Elks end the season 7-19, and there's going to have to be some real work done in the offseason. I'm sure Coach Stevens is already thinking about what to do to get this thing turned around and get it back on the tracks. Because in the last 6 seasons, and I did these 6 because the 7th was when the last time the Elks made it to the area tournament, 2018. That 17-18 season. So in those last 6 years, 45-101 is the record. Is the total record for the Elks, and their results in 19 they lost in the first round of regionals. In 20 they lost in the first round of regionals. In 21 they lost in the second round of regionals. In 22 they made it to the regional consolation finals and really put up a huge fight against Bethany. That game was in Kingfisher. But then last year, second round. This year, they bow out in the first round of regionals. That is that's not good enough. And I think everybody knows it. There's in 6 years, there's not just one thing. It's a bunch of different things and a bunch of different pieces to the puzzle that just aren't being put together. They haven't, obviously that class, the last team to make it to area. You're talking about Llewellyn and Skelton and Daquan and Schuyler, so athletically that team is way above what we're seeing right now. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed because those 6 years, 45-101, in the last 5 before that, 85-53. Results were second round area, first round area, second round area, regional consolation finals, state semifinals. And so, there's a huge line of delineation there in the Big Elk program. So they've got to figure that out. It's got the kind of, when you think about all the different things that are going on, there's a lot of positive in the entirety of athletics in the brown and white. That one's not one. And so I'm sure they're already trying to figure that out and what has to happen to be able to turn that thing around. On the girls' side, Bethany is really good. 101-34. First thing Sean asked me, what'd you do? Well, what are you going to do? Bethany's really good, and they kicked your butt. I guess you could sit there and whine about them running it up, but, I guess at the end of the day, what you hope is...
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, am I going to go down there and punch the coach?
What are you doing? What are you supposed to do? You call a game. That's what you do.
Yeah, Bethany's incredible. It was kind of... the Camrock key to the game, right? It's what we have in the pregame, and it was keep it close as long as you possibly can. If you can get through the first quarter close, okay. Then we'll see what happens in this. And heck, I really ought to have said if you can get through the first half of the first quarter close. And so kind of things are going along there. I'm thinking, man, like 3.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. It's 5-3. And the Elkettes were like 2 of 8 from the free throw line. I'm thinking, man, they could be ahead.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the first quarter, it's 24-5. It was just like boom, explosion, right? 19-2 to finish the quarter, and then they outscored. They did it again in the second. It was 54-11 at halftime, and they ran it to 77 maybe or 80 something, and after 3, and then of course scored. They scored 30 points. It was 70 anyway. I think they scored 30 in the fourth quarter. But it's an incredible team. Obviously, you don't ever want to get 100 put on you. It's a lot more fun when Keitha and Sadia and all them were doing it for the Elkettes back in the mid-'90s. But, the Elkettes, they didn't quit. They kept on fighting. Here's the deal. It may not be 100 put on Purcell coming up Saturday in the regional final, but Purcell's going to get their butt kicked. Mm-hmm. That team is just it might be the best team in Oklahoma.
Right.
It's just that's the bottom line. So the Elkettes will bounce back today. They play Bridge Creek, a team that's 4-21 after a win yesterday. So 1 o'clock, keep their season alive. The Elkettes, a much different opponent this afternoon than what they saw last night. So hopefully you get a win there. Then you'll play on tomorrow, 1 o'clock, against whoever wins the game tonight between Newcastle and Bishop McGuinness. Both of those teams the Elkettes have handled pretty easily in the last few weekends. So still, even though with what happened last night and the domination that was the Bethany Lady Broncos, there's still a pretty good path to the area tournament. And this would be the first time the Elkettes would make the area tournament since the COVID year of 2020, and that one was one of the biggest shockers of all time with the way that team in the regular season, I think they might have won as many games in the playoffs as they did in the regular season that year, making it all the way to the area consolation semifinals. It just kind of came out of nowhere, right? And so, this team, there's still goals that they can accomplish ahead of them, and realistic ones. No offense to anybody, beating Bethany wasn't. That wasn't a realistic situation. It's just not. And see if they can bounce back today, get a win, and then figure out a way to win on Saturday, and all of a sudden be headed to Okmulgee. And for a young team, you talked about youth with the smaller schools. The Elkettes are extremely young. Yeah. A couple of seniors play. Obviously, Elo starts. Summer comes in every now and again. But a majority of the core of that team is juniors, a couple of juniors, a sophomore, and a whole handful of freshmen. So it would just to – like we talked with Coach Carlson, getting them in those situations, that's just it can only help for next year, and help for the end of this year too. There's no doubt about that.
Someone asked us before the show, how does Coach Ham prepare for a game today? Like after that, you talk about youth, that's going to be on their minds. And I didn't say, I'll say it now. You just throw the game tape away. You just wipe it clean. So that's all you can do. That's not going to affect how we play today. I'm sure that's what Coach Ham is relaying to him. Like you can't let that bother you. And a lot of teams are losing to teams to Bethany like that. So it's nothing that you should dwell on and think it's not the end of the season, and it's most certainly not the end of their careers just because you got beat by that much by a team that's historically good. It's just throw the tape away. I hope he just kind of found some metaphor to do that. Just like trash it. Forget it. It has no effect on today's outcome. So move on. We're worried about Bridge Creek. That's the only thing we're going to look forward to.
In a way, I feel like I jinxed the start of that game because it popped in my mind. I might have even referenced it on the broadcast of, what happened 44 years ago today. The improbable is possible.
Well, you can actually use – I thought of that too, We talked about that yesterday where the Team USA just got throttled, and then they turn around and I'm not suggesting –
won the gold medal.
I'm not going to suggest they're going to turn around and go all the way to the state title game and beat Bethany, but what I'm saying is they were able to turn around and just move on from it. That's all you got to do. You can take your lumps and just move on.
Yeah, and what'll happen today will not resemble yesterday at any point.
No.
It is what it is. They're an incredible team.
My wife was asking me about them. I said, "Well, wow, what happened?" I said, "That's the best team in the state, regardless of class."
Here's the deal. They're just like the good teams that you see, except for they're all way bigger.
Yeah.
Their point guard is 6'1" and faster than you. Zaya Van, senior, signed with Oklahoma, the University of. She set the school record for points last night. That was cool. They had a little ceremony at halftime before they went in the locker room.
At
halftime, yeah, because it happened right there.
Oh,
so they did that. Well, and they can't do it after the game because it's playoffs. It's not like a regular season game. So that was really the only chance that they had to honor her. Everybody knew it was coming. She only had to score like 7.
Okay.
So it wasn't.
Would they have done it if it was tied at half?
I think so.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Gotcha.
It's just the only chance you're going to have.
I understand.
Because you got to clear the floor for the game. So they did that, and she, like I said, she set the school record. Yeah. Good luck. Everyone out here's seen Sealing. They beat them by 32. So, it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Jared, sad news.
Yeah, I saw that.
Breaking sad news in Thunderland.
Saw that.
Scotty G texted in, not going to make it, but wanted to congratulate the Oilers on that upset win.
The Thunder news, the Poku era is over.
That was a tease, Jared. Now they can change the channel.
You were not going to.
I wasn't going to tell.
Well, everybody knows.
My name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back, Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal, hanging out here on a Garrison Financial Friday. Scotty G unable to make it today, but we do appreciate him. Garrison Financial, he's a full financial planner. Shop the open market to bring you the best value on life insurance and investments. He's located at 124 North Main right here in Elk City. 821-1219 is his office phone number. Scott@soonerwealth.com is his email address. Also, coming up Feb 27th. Is that Tuesday?
It is.
So next Tuesday, February 27th, the Boy Scouts of America's annual pancake supper. It's from 5:30 to 8. It's at the back door of the Elks Lodge, and it's donations only. So the Boy Scouts of America annual pancake supper next Tuesday, 5:30 to 8. Back door of the Elks Lodge. Bring a donation. You can eat delicious pancakes. Yeah, you mentioned Poku era over. Thunder have waived Alexei Pokusevsky.
Honestly, kind of surprised it took him this long. It never really materialized here for him.
It just didn't. Sometimes when you see the grainy video from Eastern Europe, it turns into somebody good like Nikola Jokic. And sometimes when you see the grainy video from Eastern Europe, it turns into Darko Milicic. And Poku was way more Milicic than Jokic. So, talk about the Thunder in the last segment. All right, Jared, coming up today, in the smaller schools, There will be 16. By the time, 9:15-ish rolls around tonight, half of the state tournament field will be solidified with Class A and B boys and girls area finals all across the state of Oklahoma. Which are your favorite ones in each classification?
Boys and girls?
Yeah, boys and girls. Let's start in Class A girls. What is your favorite area final matchup?
It's most definitely not ceiling. Surreal and Allen obviously has my attention. I think I know what yours is, so I won't mention it. And, well, maybe it is Surreal Allen because they're both, top 5 teams? So it's kind of gone by chalk there. I mean, they've got there. Everyone expecting them to get there. I just don't think it's going to be much of a game. I'll say Wright City. No, that's the boys, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of these dang brackets. I can't get excited about, like I said, ceiling. So, yeah, give me Class A girls, Surreal and Allen, because they're both highly ranked. Yeah. Because I don't want to take your answer.
How do you know what my answer is?
I think you kind of hinted at it yesterday.
My answer is Tushka and Empire.
Yeah.
That's going to be a heck of a day. Where are those? Do we know?
Where they're being played at?
Yes.
Medill.
So Medill, think about what they've got today on the girls' side. In Class A, Area 3. They probably got the games you thought, just in the reverse order.
That's true.
Because they've got number 2, Caddo, and number 6, Wright City in the consolation semifinals, not the area finals. I think most people would have thought you're getting that game to go to state. Instead, you're getting that game to not be out. Then, of course, Empire and Tushka. Empire has been knocking on that door with J.C. Powers. Used to be Heron, graduated from right here in Elk City at the turn of the century. And now they've got a chance right now to punch their ticket tonight against Tushka. Number 14 versus number 13 in Class A girls. Somebody's it's not going to affect me as much as some in the Tucker family beef 8 for state because I had Empire to make it to the state tournament. Problem is, though, if Tushka wins, first off, my wife had Tushka, so that gets me a leg down, not in the family race, and then Empire could possibly not make it coming back through. And anyhow, but that's mine for sure. 14 versus 13, I think it's awesome. What about Class A boys?
Go first. Go ahead.
Number 1, OK versus unranked Riverfield.
Yeah, I like that.
I love the stories
I like that story.
Sealing Okarche is going to be a good game. Was it Caddo and Wright City? That's probably going to be a good game.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm mistaken.
And then Sentinel Drummond is the other. But OK and Riverfield unranked now with the Eric Bearcats still going. Could we possibly see 2 unranked teams in the state tournament? So OK, I'm sure they're on this mission to get back to where they were a year ago, playing for the state title, and that loss to Caddo. And of course, OK has one of the coolest dudes in high school basketball with the Diesel. So you got to respect what OK's doing, but then Riverfield, an unranked team, I think that's a great story.
Because I do like the story, and that obviously has my interest because of that. Can the Cinderella story continue with Riverfield? I don't know if it does. I think OK is okay. I think they're more than okay. I think they're going to be okay in that game. So I'll say Wright City and Caddo out of Area 3.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it's easy to say the local team of Sentinel, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Sentinel and Drummond.
I like Sentinel. I like their
I
chances.
like Sentinel a lot in that game too. So
I think
I think you can if there's going to be what I don't know if the question is what's going to be the most competitive game. If that's the question, and it's also the most competitive game in my mind is also the game I'm most interested in, without any kind of rooting interest in, other than our picks here. But Wright City and Caddo, that's my answer.
Yeah, it feels like maybe Sentinel dodged their bullet
I think so.
by Saturday night.
I think so. Just after seeing Southwest Covenant, I see how they probably gave Sentinel a scare because they can shoot, and they got some size and length. And I think once Sentinel figured it out and settled down, they had just enough time to pull the iron out of the fire on that one.
And you got that also the possibility of that coming back if you don't beat Drummond.
There is that.
All right, Class B girls. That's an easy answer for me. All of them. I think this is the best one. You can kind of pick out in the other classes like, is that one good? I don't really know. In Class B girls, it's awesome. Dover, Pittsburgh is fascinating to me. I've talked about that since the very beginning of the playoffs. Dover's been number one all year long, and for good reason. I'm not taking anything away from them. But as you get closer, a team that hasn't been around versus a team that has. That's an interesting one to me.
That is.
Lomega against Varnum. No, Frontier. I'm sorry, Frontier. That's probably the least interesting one, honestly. Then Hammond and Geronimo. Geronimo is one of the teams that have beaten Dover this season. And then, of course, Mountain View and Lakeeba Sickles. I feel like that's been a collision course area final the entire year because of where they're located, where they were going to, drawing up the brackets. Each of them, Mountain View was able to crack the top four. Lakeeba was there and then kind of fell down just a little bit outside the top four. So that's and on the text line, Jeremy said that one, Mountain View and Lakeeba, undefeated Mountain View. They're all good.
Yeah,
I picked Hammond and Geronimo
to both make it.
No,
Oh,
as my favorite one.
Oh, you pick, yeah, that one too. I'm going to be racing home to get home, and I'll have plenty of time to get home and sit down and watch that one. But that one's, but if my second answer would be Mountain View and Lakeeba.
Only loss that Geronimo suffered was to Mountain View. They've got wins over a bunch of teams that are still playing. Turner, Chatty. Or was it the Chatty boys that are still playing? I may be messing that up in my head. Obviously, Mountain View, Empire, Dover, and then Buffalo Valley's still going. So yeah, they've got wins. So that's a great one. What about Class B boys? These were the least interesting to me, outside of one.
Yeah, you go.
Lady Frontier.
I concur.
I don't know why. These were just not. I wasn't overly interested in most of these. I am that one.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Lance to get a team there and make a deep run.
Quite frankly, my favorite game in Class B boys isn't tonight.
It's
to see if Eric can keep going, and
this afternoon,
and stop that huge Fort Cobb streak. That's the most fascinating part of the maybe even the small school playoffs so far for me, is with Fort Cobb. It's just we hadn't seen them be in a spot where you thought, are they going to make the state tournament?
No interest in Granite and Wilson?
Yeah.
Granite's a win away.
Oh, and by the way, Granite, we always love these stories when we get there on Saturday and you look up and you go, why isn't there a team out there when they're announcing the academic state champs? And then you realize, oh, it's because they're playing.
Oh, yeah.
And Granite was named the Class B boys academic state champions. That came out Gabe sent us a post about that
earlier this week. Yeah.
Yes. So
very cool.
I mean, that's when you can see teams doing it on both in the classroom and on the floor. Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. I forgot about Granite.
Yeah. I'm
100%.
Rooting for him. That one I'm going to keep an eye on. The Leedy one too. But Duke and Varnum, come on. Calumet and Kenta, come on. I think we know what's going to happen in both.
Class B
games.
becomes really interesting if Calumet loses, which is not. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
Nah, there's not a lot of chinks in their armor. Haven't seen much.
Who's
flaws
got?
in them.
Okay, here's a question. Let's assume that things kind of go the way we think they might tonight. Who will have the most pressure on them next week to win it all?
Out of everybody, boys, girls, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good. Maybe it's those teams that are. I'll say Dover girls because it's these teams that have been pretty much ranked number one since the beginning of the rankings all the way through until they stopped. And so they're going in as a number one team, but you also mentioned it's been a while since they've been there. It's been a while since they've taken a team there. I'll say Dover girls. I almost said Calumet boys, but the Calumet boys have been there lately.
Yeah, and it still feels like
Jacob knows how to navigate
and
that.
it feels like they're still pretty young.
Yeah. But they got to forgive me for not knowing Dover's coach and his or her history of a state tournament, but we know Jacob's history. So I think he knows how to, okay, this is how we do it on state tournament week. This is how it works in Calumet.
Yeah, you're saying exactly the reason why I picked somebody different. Ceiling. It has to be, in my mind. Because to
continue it,
that group, this is it. You know, the bedrocks of this second kind of run. Mm-hmm. You know, before it was the Gore twins.
Yeah.
Now with this one, it's been Kinley Gore, it's been Nyberg, and it's been Ariana Whetstone since their freshman year, right? And now here they are. Think of what they've done. They played in the final, or they played in the semifinals as freshmen against, at that time, the gold standard in Class A girls, which is Hydro Weekly. They ended the Hydro Weekly run as sophomores, then won last year, and now a chance to win 3 in a row to finish out their portion of this ceiling, however long it's going to last, domination. I think there's immense pressure on them to finish it. Because Calumet, it definitely feels like they're the favorite in Class B boys, no doubt about it.
It's funny,
but it also almost, to me, there's also a sense of, well, there's a mulligan there with the youth of some of the guys that'll be back as really key roles for Calumet.
It's funny how you mentioned pressure and expectations can fuel a team. You know, there is a fine line there between fueling a team and then just imploding a team, because there's that pressure of we can't mess up, we have to continue this. You see it a lot in sports, and we talk about the expectations in a lot of these programs out here in Western Oklahoma. You know, Coach Carpenter talked about it. Like, we asked him, well, how's that keep going? Well, because those little kids see it, and they have that pressure and that expectation to continue it. And Ceiling has, I love to know the magic formula of how they continue that, like I said, not crossing that line to implosion because of succumbing to that pressure that's put on by expectation. They seem to fuel off of that. So that's probably why I didn't put him there, because I think, yeah, there's pressure there, but, man, they use it as fuel, and they always kind of, not always, but here on this second run, the second dynasty, whatever we're calling it, they're excelling with it. So that's why I leaned Dover way. You know, they're probably those girls are probably hearing about those early 2000s teams. Yeah, I mean, they weren't even alive. There is pressure. Hey, we want you back to what those girls were doing. Well, We were not even a thought back then.
Mm-hmm.
And you're asking us to do something that they did a long time ago? So that's why I went with Dover.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it can be anybody.
Yeah.
It really can.
Let's be honest. Everybody is under the gun. Everybody's pressure. The pressure's high when you get to the state tournament. It's what makes it so special.
Well, and as it gets going, we mentioned it to Lance yesterday. You know, it's crazy to think that, you know, Leedy hasn't ever won it. You know, and how much pressure builds there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How much pressure builds as you get through the turn, as you get into that, you know, semifinals, into the finals, if you win that first game. So.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, let's take a break. Come back, wrap up a Garrison Financial Friday with some Thunder talk. And I'm going to throw my man Dylan Satilli a bone. Something else is going on.
Now that's a dangerous thing to do.
Something else is going on under the surface of the NBA.
Everyone's phone's working. The text line's having fun
Yeah, no
today.
kidding. We'll be back.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Hanging out here on a Garrison Financial Friday. Scotty G on the road, working, busy, unable to join us, which is all fine. That's good for him. Scott@SoonerWealth.com is his email address. 124 North Main Street is his physical location. 821-1219 is his office number. What can he do for you? Well, he can manage your investments. Or if you're somebody that kind of likes to do that yourself, but you're just not sure how to get started, he can charge you hourly to build a plan for then you to manage on your own. Most importantly, I think he loves working with the client's accountants. You know, we're right here. Tax time, man. It's tax day's coming up in a month and a half. He works with the accountants, streamline all your tax returns, the tax ramifications as well. That way everybody's on the same page. Scott@SoonerWealth.com, 124 North Main, right here in Elk City, 821-1219. Garrison Financial Friday. All right, Jared, man, what a third quarter last night for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Coming out of the All-Star break to get a 129-107 victory over the Los Angeles Clippers. You know, that Clipper team had been playing as good, if not better, than anybody in the NBA since they kind of ironed things out after the Harden trade. I think they went like 0-5 or 0-6 the first few when they made the trade, but then after that they really took off. That was a game for second place in the West. More importantly, I think, that was also the season series decider because these two teams will only play 3 times. So the Thunder take the season series 2-1. They're now essentially kind of 2.5-ish up on the Clippers with that tiebreak and a lead in the loss column by 1. Third quarter outscored them 35-23. Blocked 9 shots in the third quarter. That's got to be some kind of record.
Yeah, I watched highlights this morning, and that's all I saw in the third quarter.
It
it led to points too, which always the NBA typically does.
It seemed like that's all you heard, like especially like the last half of the quarter. Was so-and-so drives to the rim, stuffed by so-and-so. And then the Thunder getting out in transition.
The crowd was awesome. The crowd was – that electrifies a crowd, a good defensive block or a good play like that, almost more so than a an energizing dunk or 3-pointer in transition or something. But the crowd was awesome. Kind of like they know this is a stretch run here towards the end of the season that could really solidify them. It could start against this really good Clippers team. Yeah, it was a good showing. Really good showing. I mean, SGA was awesome. Everybody was awesome, it felt like. Hayward was not awesome. Any concern there?
Absolutely not. He hadn't played in 7 weeks.
Just played 14 minutes. I think it was an acclimation thing.
I think he missed a reverse layup. I don't know what the other shot was. He was 0 for 2. Did grab 4 rebounds. No. There's not going to be.
I saw some procrastinators, some overreactors, I guess, on Twitter saying, "Oh, look, they finally lost a trade. The Thunder finally lost a trade."
Was it Dylan Satilli?
No, it was.
Are we sure?
Random people, because I was curious, because I don't get Bally Sports. I'm sorry, I'm poor and I didn't pay for that, but I didn't watch it. I was able to follow it, and I was real curious of, well, how's Hayward going to do in his anticipated debut? And he didn't do anything, really. I mean, maybe 4 rebounds. But so I was curious, well, what's going on? Hopefully he didn't re-injure or re-aggravate something. And then I just kind of chalked it up to, well, they're just slowly inserting him and to acclimate him in there. And but then I saw people, so I'm trying to get a reaction on Twitter, but from the people who know. And then people are like, oh, look, the Thunder, they shouldn't have traded for him. Like, well, it's been 1 game. He's played 14 minutes. You can't determine that off of 1 game and 14 minutes of playing time.
He hasn't played
this
in
year.
7 weeks. Simmer down.
Yeah.
Simmer down. And here's the truth. No matter what happens, the guys that they got rid of weren't playing in the playoffs anyways. They were not going to be in the rotation.
No.
They just – it wasn't going to happen. But I'll tell you what is happening. Break up the Charlotte Hornets.
That is happening?
Charlotte, you realize Charlotte is 4-0 in the Trey Man era?
Man, ice the champagne.
Do you know what they had done before that? When he got there?
What?
Before he got there, I think they were on a 10-game losing streak.
Oh. So maybe they found the answer.
Now listen, I'm not teasing here. He's played really well. And you see this, I think, a lot of times with guys. There are so many guys that can score in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I think Josh Giddey's a little bit like this on the Thunder, where if he was in a different situation, you might think,
yeah,
dang, that Josh Giddey can go. I think we kind of thought that before the emergence of J-Dub, right? Where Giddey was more the facilitator, the playmaker, maybe with the second unit. Now he just kind of looks lost because, and that's to me the challenge. If he's still here, or is going to stay here, is to figure out how to pull those strengths out of his game with the guys that are around him. But Trey Man was not going to be in the playoff rotation. Micic wasn't going to be in the playoff rotation. So, even let's say if Gordon Hayward doesn't play again, the Thunder didn't really lose anything in the trade because they traded guys that weren't going to play. But Trey Man in 4 games, he's averaging 30 minutes a game. He's shooting it at 46.5% from the field, 50% from 3, 86% from the line. Scoring 13.5, dishing out 6.5 assists and grabbing 6.8 rebounds a game, a steal and a half. Assist to turnover 6.5 to 2. He's been it's one of those things like it's cool for him to get a chance, right? Because he was kind of in a spot here where he wasn't ever going to get what you might term a fair shake, just because where was he? Whose minutes is he taking? Maybe he could have been one of those kind of Hail Mary players off the bench that you see in certain playoff games when you're down 20 late third quarter.
Yeah.
You fire a guy like him in. To me, Nate Robinson was this guy back in the day. Just instant offense if it works. And if it doesn't, oh well, we're down 20 with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter anyway. We're going to lose. But you never know. Put him in. Let him play 4 or 5 minutes. If he gets hot, he can knock down 2 or 3, 4 threes, and all of a sudden you go, maybe don't wave the white flag just yet. in this one because sort of back in it. I think that was going to be the only role available to him in Oklahoma City. So good for him.
Yeah.
It's so funny because Dylan and I were texting this morning. It's like if we're doing what we were doing last night, with calling the game and not really sure what's going on, I literally check the Hornets to see how they did. I do, just because I know I need to be prepared and have an idea.
So is Dylan is he a
he
Hornets
is
fan now?
Listen, he is absolutely behind the wheel driving the Trey Man bandwagon. He will let you get on at any point.
I bet he will.
He'll stop for you. He'll even open the
plenty
door.
of room, let me
He'll
tell
open
you.
the door for you to get on the Trey Man bandwagon if you want to, as he is driving the bus.
All right.
There's no doubt about it. All right, let's talk about today. Let's recap what the schedule is. Let's start on Paragon TV because there's a lot more games, and then we'll go to Big Elk TV after that. So Paragon TV, you will be at Chickasha, 1 o'clock, Class A Girls Area Consolation Semis. The rubber match, the third game between Canute and Waukoma. So that's 1 o'clock, Paragon TV at 2:30. Class B Boys, more area consolation action from, where are they at? Noble?
Who?
Eric? They're Noble, right?
Yes. They're in Noble.
So 2:30, Eric and Fort Cobb Broxton, that's Class B Boys, ParagonTV.com. Those are elimination games in the area tournament.
Don't drive bad in Noble. Old ladies will yell at you.
Okay? I wouldn't speed through Gracemont or Minco or any of those if you happen to be going down to Chickasha. If you're going to Chickasha, don't do that.
I know that. Yeah, I think everyone knows that. Yeah.
All right, so in Class B Girls tonight, area finals, you got Hammond and Geronimo. That's a 6 o'clock tip, also from Noble. And then up in Enid, Class B Boys area final, the Lady Bison and Frontier, 7:30. So those are the Paragon TV games tonight and this afternoon. Canute Wacomas at 1, girls. Eric Fort Cobb Broxton boys at 2:30. Then tonight, Hammond Geronimo girls, Lady Frontier boys. Hammond Geronimo 6, Lady Frontier 7:30. Then this afternoon, same time you're on, I'll be on from Bethany, the Elkettes, and Bridge Creek. That's 4A girls regional consolation action elimination game for the Elkettes today against Bridge Creek. 1 o'clock, Big Elk TV. Tomorrow we know for sure, beyond the shadow of any doubt, that we'll have 2 games for Merritt. 2A regional finals, Merritt and Cashin, 6 and 7:30. We know that. It does not matter what happens in the other games. We know we've got that on Paragon TV tomorrow night. We hope there's 2 more going on tomorrow night on Paragon TV with Canute and Eric. The Elkettes play at 1, and then Hammond and Leedy are hanging out.
That's what we hope.
That's what we hope.
Yep.
They're hanging out and trying to figure out who might be their opponents in the state tournament.
They'll be booking their hotel rooms, we hope.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yep.
So that's what we got
Okay.
today.
I think we got it covered.
Got to get going.
I got to get going.
We both do. We got to get out of here.
That's right.
Fun times. Fun
All right.
times were had by all.
And, next show, we'll know. We'll know who's in.
Yeah, we'll have brackets.
Yeah.
Should have state tournament brackets Sunday, probably.
Yep. Awesome.
Everybody have a great Garrison Financial Friday. We'll be back on Monday. Skinny on Sports right here on the Sports Animal.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way